Good morning, Larimer County, and welcome to our January 9th, 2024 Administrative Matters meeting, which I will now call to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is John Kafalis, Larimer County Commissioner from District 1. I am joined by my fellow commissioners, Kristen Stevens from District 2 and Jody Shattuck McNally from District 3. We're also joined by folks over there, Heather from the Clerk and Recorder's Office, who is taking notes, Lorenda Volker, our County Manager, as well as two folks, Tom and Sarah from our Commissioner's Office. We will begin our meeting with the public comment period, and we have some folks who have signed up who are here in person. Welcome. And I'd like to begin with the order that is before me, and then we'll go to the folks who wish to offer public comment via the phone. The first person is Nancy. Hello, Nancy.
Hi.
Good morning. Please identify yourself for the record and if there's any affiliation. And other than that, I know you know the routine.
All right. Yeah. I'm sure you're surprised to see me here. My name is Nancy Eason. I live on the northeast side of Fort Collins, and I am here to address the mill levy question. There have been a few changes in the last week or so from the state, and I heard there's more backfill possibly, and that the valuation of properties is higher than anticipated. I heard that hearsay, so I don't know if that's true, but I just want to encourage you again to see if there are other ways, in addition to the credit, that you are planning on to reduce this property tax burden. I don't know if you know, but I heard on the news yesterday that Americans that hold a revolving credit card debt has increased from 39% to 49% over the last couple of years, meaning they're not making any progress on their debt. So there's no question people are struggling. I can't believe what's happened to my property tax homeowner's insurance. It's gone up $300 every year for like 5 years. And I know it's not your fault. It's because of wildfires, hail, and I don't know what else, cost of materials. But that was an unanticipated expense on our part. And now the property tax as well. So we're approaching a mortgage payment just to cover those two, So if there's anything you can do to reduce that, possibly even consider a temporary reduction in the mill levy. Is this the right year to fill the whole emergency fund? Could we spread that out over a couple of years? Could salary increases be looked at? Most of us aren't getting outside of government getting a 7% up to 7% salary increase. So we could look at that and any other projects. This is what, normal people outside would like to be able to do, but they can't even consider these choices because their budgets are maxed. So I'd ask you to consider that. Supposedly the inflation rate is 5%. I don't know if I believe that. It might be higher, but if you can keep your increase closer to that rather than the 16 to 18%, it looks like, I appreciate that. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you for your attention and for all you've done to listen and reach out. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nancy. And before we go to the next person, I neglected to mention two things. One, you've probably figured out that we ask people respectfully to keep their comments to 3 minutes or less. So please keep that in mind. And secondly, typically when we close the public comment period, then there's an opportunity for the three of us to respond to what we've heard. It's not a requirement, but typically we will offer some kind of response. So with that, it looks like the next person that I have signed up is Cindy Burkhart. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Cindy Buckhart, and I'm the president of the Larimer County 4-H Foundation. I have two items I would like to address today. First, I would like to invite you to the 65th Annual Larimer County 4-H Carnival Craft Vendor Show and Auction. And I know you all have attended previously, and I thank you for that. Second, I'd like to address the ranch director, Mr. Connor McGrath's concern about our bake sale, the sale of carnival-type food items, and the use of food items as prizes. This has never been a concern previously. In November of 2021, Diana Frick, the interim director of the ranch, questioned whether the foundation needed a food license. At that time, Nicole Aguilar from the Larimer County Health Department responded that the foundation did not need any retail food license, as long as the donation, preparation, sale, or service of the food is in conjunction with an event or celebration, which the carnival qualifies for, and the event takes place in Larimer County, in which such nonprofit or charitable organization resides or is principally located, which the foundation is. Ms. Frick sent an email to the Larimer County 4-H Foundation board members on November 1st, 2021, and you were all copied on it. Ms. Frick stated that the ranch and the county want to be good partners with Extension and the 4-H community. The mission to serve the community and the kids was an overwhelming factor in the decision. I quote, "I am going to allow the waiver to be recognized for the 4-H Carnival and the food booths be allowed." Therefore, the 2022 Carnival proceeded as it had for 63 years. Now, with a new director of the ranch, we are again questioned about the bake sale and food. February 1st, 2023, a letter stated that the 23 Carnival can proceed. However, in future years, the ranch will require commercially prepackaged, ready-to-eat food, products purchased from licensed distributors only. The letter stated that this change is not unique to the 4-H Carnival and is being implemented for all events at the ranch. This change is unique. Never before has the Larimer County 4-H Foundation been denied the ability to have a bake sale and carnival food items. According to the Larimer County Facilities Agreement, Section 12, exceptions to the concessions provision may be granted by the licensor, which is the Larimer County Board of Commissioners. Mr. McGrath stated the food provision was for all events at the ranch. How is it that the open class baked products at the Larimer County Fair can host a bake sale, and all proceeds go to the open class exhibit area improvement? Is the county fair bake sale different from a 4-H sponsored bake sale at a carnival? Open class allows baked goods from residents throughout Larimer County. Our items are limited to the 4-H community. I would appreciate your consideration and hope we can continue with a positive working relationship when it comes to the 65th Annual Carnival and carnivals in the future. Remember, 4-H is about the youth of Larimer County, and the carnival is the Larimer County Foundation's fundraiser, as well as the 26 clubs in Larimer County. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cindy, and thanks for your many contributions to 4-H over the years. The next person that I have on my list is, I believe it's Lori, is it Delahoy?
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Lori Delahoy, and my family's been part of 4-H for 23 years, and I'm a leader of a 4-H club at present. The foundation does so much for the kids in Larimer County. I've seen, I can't even begin to cover them all, but I've seen the benefits within, for my own children and for kids within my club, of leadership training and national competitions, scholarships, the development of materials for the kids, videos, all kinds of training and help for the kids. I've had kids join my club that wouldn't have been able to afford the enrollment without the help of the 4-H Foundation. So they have a tremendous impact, and the carnival is their only fundraiser. And people are drawn to the carnival. There's a certain tradition involved with it. If you were to go to the Larimer County Fair and there was no popcorn or, ices or kettle corn or anything like that, how inviting would it be for you? Are you going to go and just see the quilting exhibits? I enjoy it, but there's a draw. I can't see much of a draw of people coming to the carnival, especially. Can you imagine your kids are
grandkids saying, oh boy, let's go get that package of Little Debbie's. They're going to come and they want popcorn and the nachos and cotton candy, and they're going to want to pick up baked goods, not a package of chips. This is our fundraiser. This helps our kids. It helps kids in our community. I'm just asking to look at the big picture of this and how it impacts 4-H. And you are in the position to help 4-H. I understand policies of the ranch, but this is a new policy or one that they haven't enforced because we've been there since the ranch began and we moved over from the old fairgrounds. Please consider 4-H. Thank you.
Thanks, Laurie. Thank you very much. Now we have is it Charla Lacey. Morning.
Good morning. I'm Charla Lacey, and I am from the North 44-H Club. And I first want to thank you guys for being a great support to this community and for 4-H. And the carnival is a longstanding tradition in this county. This is its 65th year, and along with the carnival comes, like has been stated, that carnival feel of being able to have the smells and the taste of everything you're used to at a carnival. And it really isn't the same if you have those prepackaged foods. That it's just, it kind of ruins the atmosphere and the fun of, yes, there's games, but the food is a large part of it. And along with that comes, with that tradition of the carnival, is supporting the heart of 4-H through that. One of the slogans for 4-H is learn by doing. And the carnival is a great opportunity for some of the kids in the foods programs or the cake decorating program to be able to showcase their skills that they've learned by making cupcakes, cookies, decorating them, to be able to do at the bake sale. And those things are important for these kids to be able to showcase those skills and to learn how to do food safety. They work together with their families to, learn how to sell a good product to people, skills that they can take on to life later on if they start their own small business, perhaps. So those are important parts of that the carnival can provide, those opportunities for these kids to use those skills that they're learning in the 4-H program to be able to present to the community. And that's one way that the carnival does that. And they can see the benefit of hard work too. And I remember personally myself growing up in 4-H that I did many of bake sales, and it's fun for one, for these kids to learn that. It's also, again, opportunity to work together with their families. And so I know firsthand how important that is for kids. And I've seen my own kids grow up doing bake sales as well. And we just feel that there's not much of a reason to not allow this. Again, considering that also a bake sale happens during the fair that the county puts on. So we think that this is an opportunity again to extend that to the 4-H carnival to allow the food to be sold there. So many opportunities for the kids to learn. So thank you for that consideration.
Thank you very much, Charla. So that is the list of folks who have signed up in person. There will be an opportunity if folks did not sign up who are here in person if they wish to offer comment. But at this time, I'd like to go to the people on the list that have requested to offer input through the phone. And I think the first person is our friend, Mr. Larry Sarner from Loveland.
Yes, hello.
Good morning, Larry. This is John Kafalis. We're at our Administrative Matters meeting if you would be kind enough to introduce yourself and any affiliation. And as you well know, you have up to 3 minutes to offer your input. Thank you, sir.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you. This is Larry Sarner, and I have been a 41-year resident, or had been a 41-year resident of the city of Loveland. I'm concerned about, as I have been in the past with you during September and October, about the mill levy increase or the mill levy revenue increase that is coming from your retention of the mill levy at your present levels or past levels. And what is needed to be done is a permanent reduction in the mill levy in order to avoid both the windfall that presently exists and would be continuing on in future years. Steve Miller, when he was the county assessor, when these kinds of windfalls would occur, pointed out that to people who might complain about the increase in their property taxes, to say not to worry, the state constitution limits what you can do, or what the government can do about the money that was coming in. It would be reduced proportionately so that there would be a reasonable increase in the governmental budget from the revaluations that occurred, but nothing more. You have put yourselves in a situation where you can avoid what Steve Miller was warning that would not exist. And you need to not be tin-eared or tone-deaf to the concerns of the taxpayers about this. What you need to do is actually cut the mill levy increase by 3.5 mils. If you don't do that, then you are exploiting the situation that has developed by no fault of the taxpayers themselves and no fault of even yourselves. You're just exploiting it. If you are doing this, you are canceling out the voters' decision in Fort Collins not to raise property taxes, to raise an amount of money that you will now be taking. You will be taking back Loveland's rollback of the windfall that they are considering. You will also be taking back Loveland's food tax repeal, and taking it for yourselves. All of this is happening with something that you could resolve if you chose to do so. And I think you should choose to do so. Thank you very much.
Larry, thank you very much as well. Have a good day. The next person on the list is Tasha Carr from Livermore. See if we can get a hold of her.
Yes, this is Tasha.
Hello, Tasha. This is John Kafalis. Good morning. Please introduce yourself, and you have up to 3 minutes to offer your public comment.
Yes, thank you. This is Tasha Carr from Livermore, Colorado, a 37-year resident of Larimer County. Good morning, commissioners, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I would like to thank all the commissioners, especially Commissioner Kafalis, for your willingness to listen to and engage the taxpayers on this issue. Given the rapidly evolving numbers, I would encourage the commissioners to take the time to clarify the budget numbers to the community. The numbers presented so far have been very difficult for me to reconcile, and I understand it's been kind of a rapidly evolving situation, but transparency and clarity is important at this time. Tabor exists because the taxpayers want to be asked to raise our taxes. Many of us are disturbed by the misleading wording of Prop HH. We were frustrated by the excessive and inequitable property valuation and appeal process. We're troubled by the massive 20% increase in our property taxes when the average has been about 4% over the past 20 years. And this windfall increase in property taxes is without the approval of the taxpayers and is in violation of the spirit of Tabor. I'm troubled by the use of a loophole in Tabor created by the repeal of Gallagher that would have reduced the assessment rate and kept our property taxes in check. The county staff keeps referring to the debrucing of 1999 as justification for raising our property taxes by 20%. But over a quarter century ago, or at least quarter century ago in 1999, when Gallagher was in effect. So debrucing, even if the voters even understood the wording in that initiative, would have kept property taxes from skyrocketing when the valuation increased. And the complicated rules keep changing. And that's why it's appropriate to ask voters before a massive 20% increase in property taxes. The state legislature has failed the citizens. The governor has failed the citizen by passing the buck and asking the taxing districts to drop their mill levies. Using our income taxes paid to the state to cover this 20% increase in property taxes is still our tax money and just another bait and switch like Prop HH. It is not a meaningful reduction in windfall tax increase. I believe that meaningful cuts to the budget, even if they are hard, difficult decisions, can be found that keep our property tax increase to 5%, which is still above the average 4% and reasonable. This is not the time to take the windfall tax increase on the backs of taxpayers. Just read that 65% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. We need this money to pay our bills. We need this money we are making hard decisions about our budgets, and we are asking you to make the same kind of hard decisions. Show fiscal restraint and responsibility by providing the taxpayers with meaningful and significant tax relief by cutting the mill levy. Thank you.
Tasha, thank you very much. Thanks for your input. The next person on the phone is Judy Pappenfuss from the eastern side of Fort Collins. Over time, we get to know each other.
Hello.
Hello, Judy. This is John Kafalas. Morning.
Hey, John.
Hey, would you please introduce yourself? And as you well know, you have up to 3 minutes to offer your input. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, my name is Judy Pappenfuss, and I've lived in Larimer County I was born in Colorado and have lived in Larimer County for a long time. I am calling about the tax increase that's being proposed, and I would like to ask that not be raised to the degree that you're proposing. You're already going to be getting 8.5% or million for inflation and growth. And one of the things that I think could be done to reduce things is that employees' wages are going up to 5%, and Social Security only went up to 3.2%. So I'd like to see that not be raised. And another way that some of this money could not be taken from us, it's not money that you're going to be giving back to us. You're going to give us back the 55 or I think 5,500. That's our money. So when you're giving us our money back, that just doesn't make sense to me. One of the other things is for this rainy day fund. I know that we need to have money in there, but the amount that's being proposed is 18.5% increase, and that seems egregious. I've spoken to both you, John, and Kristen and Jody, and one of the things, the concern is that you want to have your pay be good for, you want to retain employees and keep employees. My background's in human resource development. I have a master's degree in that. There are other ways to incentivize employees to stay, And one of the things that I just read is 69% of employees cite recognition and rewards as motivation to stay in their jobs. So like all of us, we're making tough decisions and trying to pare our budgets down as everything increases. So I would just really ask that the maximum amount that you increase any kinds of funds would be 5%. And I do appreciate so much all what you do. John, you and I have worked well together, and I continue to pray for all of you and appreciate the work that you're doing. But I just think that you've heard from a lot of people, and I know you have other constituents, but you've heard by email and in person by a lot of people that they do not want this increase to be as high as it is. And I would be willing to donate some time to work with your employees to help them come up with other ways to incentivize people to stay employed in Fort Collins, Loveland, all of these areas. I'd be happy to do that. I would facilitate a group to help you do that. And for your budget people, there are inventive ways to do things better, and we're all learning how to do that. So thank you so much for your input.
Judy, thank you very much for your engagement. Have a good day.
You.
Sarah, is there anyone else who may have maybe be interested in offering public comment through the phone?
No.
Was that a no?
No.
I can barely hear you.
No, Commissioner.
Oh, I can hear you much better now. Thank you. So at this time then, I noticed there were some folks who came in afterwards. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to offer public comment? If so, please raise your hand. Great. If you would be kind enough to come forward. I think by now you've figured out the routine.
Maybe. I came in
Well,
so late. My earring just fell off.
If you would introduce yourself for the record, if your name is difficult to spell, it would be helpful to spell. And also if you have any affiliation, but otherwise you have about 3 minutes to offer your thoughts.
My name is Charlene Haas, Haas. I am a almost 38-year resident of Larimer County, born and raised. And I'm here representing the Buckeye Buccaneers 4-H Club, which is a long-standing club in the county. I unfortunately came late and didn't get to hear some of these ladies' nice arguments. But from my perspective in the situation with the carnival, so I was in 4-H for the 10 years I was allowed to be. Beyond that, I began to work with the Extension Office for the 5 following summers of my 4-H graduation. My first summer working the fair with the Extension Office under Paula Morehouse was the first summer at the new fairgrounds at the ranch. And it was clear to me that summer, and then it became clearer to me every following summer, that 4-H is sort of an afterthought at the ranch. It's a thorn in their side of things that they have to kind of allow us to be there to share their space. If it's not the rodeo or the vendors, then we're of no use to them, basically. We are just, they'll open the doors and let us do our stuff. But it was obvious that the focus was on the vendors, the carnival, the sale, anything that made them money directly. Now, this carnival doesn't make them very much money, and so they want to kind of give us more guidelines and more rules to follow that makes it a lot harder on us to make money. I think it's important to note that this is a fundraiser, and so if we have to go out and buy baked goods to then sell, we're basically just saying, give me the money for the cake that I just bought, and that doesn't give us any money. Plus, hearing the ladies, just remembering that the kids put a lot of effort into this. It teaches them food safety. It teaches them customer service. It teaches them all sorts of useful things. I mean, and ultimately, we're not killing the pig to put in the casings to sell the hot dogs. We're still buying store-bought goods and selling. You know, it's handled well. It's not like we're picking poison berries and making snow cones. We're using, you know, it's typical stuff that you would find at any school carnival, basically. And so I just think that it's a little, I guess it just feels like the ranch is just picking on us again, and this is ultimately kind of a heritage tradition. 4-H is becoming grandfathered into kind of an expanding culture, and we're doing our best to keep up. But the roots of the tradition is self-sufficiency, community, fellowship, and just working together to do all those things. And the carnival is the best example of that, I think, aside from the fair. So this is one of our 2 great opportunities every year. Thank you.
Thank you kindly, Charlene. Is there anyone else here who wishes to offer public comment? Welcome. If you would please introduce yourself.
Hi there. I'm Ellie Jones. I am the Buckeye Buccaneers organizational leader for the last 10 years. My kids started 4-H in 2011. I have 2 kids that both went through 4-H. I feel that I kind of agree with these ladies. The ranch, the purpose of the ranch, one of the purposes of the ranch was to support the 4-H program. And that has been a longstanding tradition. The Buckeye Buccaneers is one of the oldest 4-H clubs in Larimer County, back in 1956. We are still at the original spot at the Buckeye School is where the kids meet once a month. I've seen tremendous growth in kids through the 4-H program. You have kids that come in very shy and they don't want to speak, and now they're the officers of the meeting. One big thing of 4-H is community service. We do a lot of community service, give back to the community. I feel that the ranch started this program, and then to reiterate what Charlene said, now they're just picking on us because we don't make enough money for them. Okay, so we have the Ranchway building at the ranch, and then that was tore down and rebuilt, and now every time they turn around, they're trying to shove us out the door. The carnival is 65 years in the making, and I understand that you have to change with the times and stuff, but speaking with Larimer County as fundraiser, home baked goods are allowed for fundraisers in Larimer County for one fundraising purpose for a nonprofit. We don't have to adhere to the cottage industry standards. And I have an email to that effect from Larimer County that I could share if you wanted it. So I would just encourage you to do the right thing and support Larimer County 4-H. It is Larimer County 4-H. And we do a good job of making money and supporting ourselves. But we do need the ranch. We do need the building, the McKee building. You know, it was named after a person that was heavily involved in 4-H and supported 4-H. And I would just ask that the commissioners do the right thing and continue to support the carnival and the fundraising efforts that these clubs, without this fundraiser doesn't only support the 4-H Foundation, it's Larimer County Foundation, it supports the clubs. So we get money back from the Foundation Carnival to our clubs that we can do community service projects. We can do fundraising activities. So, again, I encourage you to do the right thing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Please come forward. Thanks. And introduce yourself. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Douglas Braden. I'm a lifetime resident of Larimer County, and I've owned my own home here since 1997 that I bought for my family. I just want to reiterate some of the things you've already heard this morning from some of the folks about the mills and the tax increases. I would suggest that maybe the municipalities could be better stewards of our money in some of the circumstances. I do sit in on some of the LLAC meetings and listen to the people from the city of Fort Collins and come in and tell us about their plans for the future. And some of those are, to me, with no notable end or no notable quantitative resolve that will come from those action plans that are put forth from the city of Fort Collins. I think we could be better stewards of our money. What I see those potential is just raising our energy costs over the lifetime versus saving us any money or having any notable. I don't see any goal in mind. When we ask them, what's the goal of this action plan that you're proposing for 2030, what are we going to get? We're going to get lowered lowered temperatures nationwide, or what's going to happen with this? So I would just ask that, yes, please consider lowering the mills to the homeowners here in the county, and also let those girls do their thing from the 4-H too, if I could, please. Anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Doug. Is there anyone else? Come on up. Welcome.
I think I have the routine down. I apologize for being late because I live on the very northern edge of Larimer County, almost in Wyoming. But my name is Dan Hutchins. That's Hutchens. A lot of people normally spell it INS. I'm currently the Larimer County Foundation Vice President, but I'm also co-organizational leader of the Harmony Hustlers 4-H Club, and been a resident from Larimer County since 1998. Been involved in 4-H since 1999, and I just probably going to reiterate some of the things they said. But the foundation's been operating this carnival. This will be our 64th carnival, and we've been in existence for 65 years. The one carnival we missed was 2021 due to the pandemic, so we're all aware of what happened with that. And in the entire 65 years, to my knowledge anyway, food and home-baked goods have always been sold. So, number one, the ranch is attempting to just throw all that tradition away. And to my knowledge, they haven't really given us a reason other than the fact that they can. So, I mean, I know there's been some suggestions that it's because of the health and the food safety aspect of it, but we have approval from the health department, and I don't understand, like I said, other than the fact that they can, that seems to be the only compelling reason for them preventing us from doing this. More importantly to me, and I don't know if anybody in this room here remembers it, but 20 years ago in 2003, when they first opened the ranch, when we had our first carnival there, they told us 4-H is grandfathered. Unfortunately, we cannot find that in writing anywhere. And we don't have any of the past county commissioners at the time or the past managers of the ranch here to either confirm or deny that. But I do know as a leader, we were told 4-H is grandfathered and will be allowed to serve food products because at the time Ovations had the exclusive right. And they said as long as we continue to serve food products, that would go in perpetuity. So it's troubling to me now that 20 years later, people that had nothing to do with that are saying, no, you can't have it. But I'm still of the old school. It may have been a handshake agreement between people who aren't here right now, but it's still a handshake agreement and we should still honor it. So that's why I think we should still be allowed to have the food products. And that's all we have to say it now. I think I'd just be repeating what everybody else has said. But thank you for your time.
Thank you kindly, Doug. Oh, Dan, forgive me. Doug was the previous person. Apologize.
I've been called worse.
I believe I've been called worse too over the years. Is there anyone else who wishes to offer public comment at this time? Seeing none, and I don't believe we have anybody through the phone system. Therefore, we'll close the public comment period. And as I mentioned earlier, this is an opportunity, if the commissioners choose, to offer some comments. I will ask Commissioner Stevens if she would like to begin that process.
Sure, I'll begin. Thank you to everyone who came out this morning, and thank you for everyone on the phones for your comments. I guess I'll start with some property tax, and then we'll move to some of the 4-H issues. So, thank you. Nancy, and I think you said it right. I mean, people are struggling right now, and we certainly see that, and it's why we've decided to offer a mill levy credit initially, because we knew that was true, and we knew we had dollars that we could do that with. I will say I think we're the only, maybe one of the only counties in the state that did so. And I'm not saying that to brag or anything, but I mean, I think that we were trying to respond to what we were hearing from the community, and that was our way of doing so. So I with the increase on the on for pay, I mean, there is something to be retained. And I understand the last speaker who was talking about retaining employees and that there's other ways to do that. And we do those other ways. So we try to retain employees in a number of ways. Part of it is having a good culture. Part of it is, we have a program where we acknowledge the good things that people have done. They get points, and there's a point system, and different departments that have trouble retaining employees, like work that's really hard in our county. Things like people who work at the jail or people who work in child protection. I mean, those are jobs that are very, very hard to do. And so we found special ways to acknowledge those folks. But there is some loss to other organizations. And what we do is we're really not trying to reward them a specific, or, give them a specific raise. We do research on what other companies are paying. So we're not paying outside the norm. We're really trying to stay within the boundaries of what we see when we do those studies to see what other organizations are paying. So we don't feel like we're going above and beyond, but we're trying to pay our employees fairly. And I think that I wanted to make that point. We aren't, I mean, there's a lot of semantics here. We're not raising taxes. Your taxes are going up because valuations have gone up. I know, and that sounds like a politician talk. So I hate to use those terms, but it is the truth. So it is not that we've raised taxes. They are based on the property valuation. So I wanted to bring that up just to make that distinction. And for Tasha, who talked about the transparency, I do believe the transparency is important. And we've actually had our budget staff talk to people, including Mr. Sarner, to try to clarify some of these things. But as much as we can do publicly, we would like to do, because we don't want there to be confusion about why your property taxes are the way they are. We've tried to do that in work sessions. We've had separate meetings. We've tried to do that. And also our budget staff is happy if there's anybody who needs that additional help or that additional call. But that's been our desire all along, is to provide transparency on the budget. Our costs have gone up. I've said this before, but we aren't bringing in a lot of new full-time employees. But some costs of ours have doubled, and they've gone beyond the inflationary measures. So we say that we don't buy consumer goods, so we're not buying bread and eggs that have gone up maybe 5%, maybe more. We're buying things like concrete and steel, and we're paying employees, and those costs are a little bit different than the inflationary levels that consumers see. So all that to be said, I think we're still looking at things, and we certainly are committed to the mill levy credit that we've already announced. So, but we do take it seriously, and we are trying to be fiscally responsible. And for Mr. Let's see, I took a lot of notes. I'm trying to look through my notes. The things that are happening in Fort Collins aren't. They're not necessarily related to what we're doing. So, but to Mr. Sarner, who talked about taking away the grocery tax and some of those taxes, we're not taking away anyone's taxes. The taxes that come to Larimer County, the tax dollars that come to Larimer County are disassociated with the sales tax, the grocery sales tax, for example. So I understand this all builds up on families, right? I do understand that, but there's not any nexus or connection between the taxes that happen within the city of Loveland and our taxes, and that Loveland did vote to do away with their grocery tax, right? And so I think that they did that also because they see the need. And so I will just say that we are committed to what we said we were going to do. We will look to see what numbers look like, because you're right, this is ever evolving. So as difficult as this is to explain to all of you, it's difficult for us, and it's difficult for our budgeting staff to really deal with numbers that keep changing, and honestly, state government that keeps tinkering with these property tax dollars. So when when people want a permanent mill levy reduction, we don't know what's happening in the legislature. The legislative session starts tomorrow, and there's a task force that's looking at it, and we don't know what's going to come up. So to make any kind of permanent decisions seems a little rash when we don't know what's coming down the pike. And we want to protect our residents too. So part of the, somebody called it a rainy day fund, and I believe we've called it a disaster relief fund, because we sometimes have to take $10 million plus of our own dollars and not get reimbursed for up to a decade when an emergency happens in our county. So all that being said, we are still working on things. We are still looking at numbers, and we are committed to at least doing what we said we would do with the refund, or with the tax credit. Then with regard to 4-H, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who came out. There's a lot of experience in this room right now. 4-H, everybody was 20 years, 30 years. I was a 4-H'er. I'm a 4-H leader still. My 4-H club's been in Larimer County for 31 years. I do understand the predicament that we're in, and but I will say that this has been discussed for probably multiple years. So it wasn't just last year that this was decided. Waivers were granted over the past few years, to say we really need 4-H clubs to transition into using, goods that are not made in the home, and there is a safety element to this. And I know that a lot of 4-Hers have food safety training, but some don't. And so the ranch has really been good about they've waived it a couple of years, and then finally last year the memo went out that said that they weren't going to waive it any longer. We had over a year's notice on this, so and I think it is about food safety, and we've kind of seen this happen in the schools as well, right? I mean, it's you can't bring cake like you did when I was a kid to school and share that with the kiddos. I know it's unfortunate and it's not what people want, but I think for safety reasons, I think the ranch has made this decision. Like I said, the reason that the letter went out in February of last year was to give people time to transition into this, and so people have had over a year to think about what kind of products they want to give out at their booths, and that seems like that it. I understand the element that it maybe not as much fun, but it does provide the safety level that the ranch is comfortable with. And so that's why we've transitioned into that. And so, Connor is here from the ranch. He may want to speak more to that, but I just wanted to say that when we decided to change that policy, we wanted to give people ample time to think about what that looked like for transitioning into something else. And so I guess that's all I have to say right now. I feel like I've talked for a long time, so I apologize.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, would you like to respond to anything you've heard?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to do that. First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming in today, especially Mr. Hutchins from driving all the way down from the border. Appreciate that, especially on a cold morning. It's a long haul. And I want to thank you all for your service to your clubs and to 4-H. I think being a longtime volunteer myself, I know how passionate you are about these things, and you're really investing time and your heart into these youth and to their leadership development and their development as the future foundation of our country for folks to learn a lot of really important skills for life. And I think 4-H is wonderful. And I have volunteered at the carnival, and so I understand how popular it is, and it is a really well-attended and fun time to be there. I wanted to just thank you for coming today and being of service. I think one thing I wanted to take note of is some folks had mentioned they felt that the 4-H doesn't make money for the ranch, and I don't think we've, as far as I know, I helped work on the ranch tax to be renewed so that we could have money to kind of renovate these things and keep the ranch rolling. And we're trying to have a very sufficient ranch, and we have a renowned, well respected ranch complex and 4-H program. We never look for this. This is a community service. I don't think we expect any 4-H to make money for the ranch. That's, I think, a way I wanted to address that. We've, as far as I've been involved with, never have we expected 4-H to make money for the ranch. That is a community development and a public service. And we, as commissioners, I think I'm speaking for my colleagues, we know that we give to that. It takes out of the budget. We support that. We wouldn't have invested $17 million in a brand new 4-H building if we didn't believe in and support 4-H. $17 million. My colleagues around the state are like, wow, how did you do that? Tell us about that. We wouldn't have asked 4-H leaders and 4-H participants to help us design and to build and help provide input for the design and for the building of that building. It is very exciting to see. I can't wait for the youth to be in there and be using it because it is designed and focused on the 4-H youth. So I would challenge anyone for any other county who's invested $17 million the last year into the 4-H program, because I think that's a huge investment and a huge signal to our commitment to 4-H. Commissioner Stevens, thank you for your long-term service to 4-H. I know you've been trying to have these conversations and help folks transition this, and I know we've been having conversations. This, as far as I know, I've heard about this transition since I came on the board, and so I know it's unfortunate. I mean, I remember being on our PTOs and things for the last, I was on that for 20 years, and when we had to stop bringing because of food allergies, we couldn't we couldn't do bake sales at school anymore. We couldn't bring in birthday treats anymore. You had to bring in prepackaged folks, even for snacks. And if you had a food allergy, it had to even be certain snacks. And times are changing. How we did it 20 years ago doesn't work in our everyday, especially post-pandemic times. And so I will ask some questions. Someone mentioned that the health department had approved something, and so I'm going to have to ask some questions about that. I'm going to look into that. But I do appreciate everyone coming there and make these comments. I want to just say that I want to really push back a little bit on the commissioners or the ranch staff treating or thinking of the 4-H program as thorns in the side. I think our actions have shown differently. And so, and I think our strong relationship with Extension also speaks highly to our commitment to 4-H and to youth development. So I just wanted to say that. And I do want to honor and respect your multiple, I think I was adding it up. There are probably over 250 years of experience in this room for 4-H. So I might have miscounted that. So I just wanted to say that is something that is we should be all proud of, and that just speaks to why we have one of the best 4-H programs in the state. So, and that's because of all of you. So I want to thank you for that. I don't want to repeat a lot of the things that we said. I want to address this again. We did not raise taxes. Property valuations went up. Mine went up. Homeowner insurance, living in the foothills, a lot of folks are even lucky to be able to have homeowners insurance. Taxes are gone up across the state. I think Commissioner Stevens is right. We're one of the few that have even considered a mill levy credit. And the uncertainty with the state and the state legislature and HH and the special session has been tinkering with local governments and their ability to plan and do their budget process. We have, I think, one of the most transparent budget processes in the region. We have our Budget Explorer online. You can go on and look. The whole budget's there. You can look at your property tax bill. We have had budget community conversations. Our staff have gone out to community conversations with commissioners. They have made multiple phone calls. I think they've even talked to Ms. Carr on the phone and Mr. Sarner multiple times. And we do hear from a lot of folks. We got some emails today. I also want to acknowledge we had a couple of public comments that came in via email. And so we do listen and we do hear from all of this. And we also hear from constituents, though, that are telling us we're doing a good job and stay the course, and they agree with what we've done. I've heard from dozens of folks who think that we've done a good job explaining this. navigating this uncertainty from what the state has been tinkering in our assessment rates for 2 years in a row. Let's not forget that they did tinkering last year and took revenue away and lowered the assessment rates. And because of that, in this special session, our assessor and our county treasurer and public trustee have had the staff have had extra work to come up with these assessment rates and set up these mills. And that's why we're having, this should have all been approved back in December. We approved the budget, but now they've had to work through the holidays to be able to figure out what these new laws and rates and things came from the special session. And so I think, have done, our staff had been phenomenal, working very hard, working the special session the entire weekend, trying to track down every bill and listen to all the different nuances and try to keep us informed. And we were paying attention, and we're navigating things that are out of our control and brought a lot of uncertainty for our budget. We are a high-risk county. We are known for recovering well and being responsive during times of natural disaster. It's just been since 2020 when we have the largest wildfire in Larimer County. We've had 10 years of flood repair that we're still not fully reimbursed over a decade from FEMA. We have had the Black Hollow. These costs are astronomical, and we have one of the best emergency managers in the state, and she will tell you it's critical. From day one of a natural disaster, we need to start writing checks to recover, because recovery starts that same day that something's happening. And whatever's happening up in the forest and in our rivers impacts everyone downstream. Your water quality, your forest health, your air quality. And so this is not something just for those who live up in the mountains. This impacts everyone. And so I strongly feel that we need to be prudent and good stewards to be prepared, because it's not if, it's going to be when. And I know, just even learning about Loveland, they have double in their contingency fund that we have. And so that's just a municipality. We do not have anything to do with Fort Collins and municipalities and what they plan to do in their plans. That's their local government. And we do pay attention, and we ask questions, because we'd like to make sure we're not all working in silos. That's not good for our public, since I serve all of Larimer County, where they live in city or unincorporated areas. And so that's important to me, to be understanding all of that. But we don't tell the cities what to do, for sure, unless it's a pandemic. And then I think that's all I have to say. Again, just thank everyone for their engagement. And thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I'll just leave it there. I just appreciate the opportunity to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, I reckon it's my turn. I just have a couple of specific comments to add to what's been said. First, regarding one point that Nancy made, it is correct that the most recent assessed valuation was higher. We had initially estimated that dollar amount to be $8.4 billion for all the assessed value, commercial and residential, vacant land, etc. And it turns out it's closer to $8.7 billion. So I wanted to comment on that. Secondly, tomorrow afternoon is an important meeting. Tomorrow afternoon at 3:30, we will have our public meeting. It will be broadcast, and folks can be there in person. There won't be public comment, but that is to adopt the mill levies that we have received from all the various taxing authorities in the county. So we'll be adopting those mill levies, and technically there's about a week to, quote, certify those mill levies. We'll also be making a final decision regarding the mill levy credit, which currently stands at $4.5 million. So that's important for folks to know. regarding the comments that Tasha made, Tasha from Livermore, she had sent a detailed email over the weekend, which I've read, which we've read. I went to the commissioners, and we do have responses to her points there, and we'll get those out to her this today. And related to that, before I say a few things about the 4-H input, related to that is I'll speak for myself, and that is such matters as we are discussing the budget, property tax increases, mill levies, mill levy credits. My preference is to actually meet with people in person and have a conversation and get to know each other. I know there's at least one person in the audience, and we had a rather spirited, an hour plus. I believe we closed down Harbinger Coffee. And I think overall, we, of course, didn't agree on everything, but I think we got to better understand each other and our positions and hopefully clarify some complex matters. So my door is always open if folks want to get together for a cup of coffee and talk about these things. And I will follow up. I think Tasha wanted to take me up on that, so we'll see how we can accommodate. And then with regard to 4-H, I won't add what my colleague said. Commissioner Stevens is the one who serves on the board and is most directly connected to these matters. But I do appreciate the folks who came, especially Dan, not Doug, from up north. And appreciate that our ranch director, Connor McGrath, is also here to listen. And it is my understanding that Larimer County has one of the best 4-H programs in the state, so there must be something to that. And finally, I'll mention another opportunity to have conversation is our Wellington Community Conversation, which is scheduled for the first Thursday in February, which I don't know what that date is. Hopefully somebody can look. But the first Thursday in February will be in Wellington at the T-Bar Inn, a little bit closer for folks up north in the Buckeye and other areas. And actually, we will have our ranch director, our ranch staff, as well as our extension director, Larimer County Extension Director, and our extension agent. So our goal is to give an update on the work that's being done at the ranch, talk about livestock-related matters, talk about 4-H, and so that's another opportunity for folks to participate. That's 7:30 to 9 a.m. at the T-Bar Inn, the first Thursday of the month, which is,
February 1st.
did you say February?
1st.
It's a great way to start off the month of February. So I welcome folks to join us. That's all I have to say. Again, thank you all very much for being here. It does matter. And tomorrow we'll make some final decisions about the budget and the mill levy credit, and we'll do our best to move forward. So we'll now move on. In the spirit of moving forward, we have the next item is approval of the minutes, and we have seen the draft minutes. There have been some adjustments to one of the motions. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, you're on.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I move to approve the minutes presented to us for the week of January 1st, 2024.
Thank you. That's a proper motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. We next get to review our upcoming schedule, and I believe our more than competent Sarah from our Commissioner's Office will help us with that.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is the Commissioner's schedule for January 15th through the 19th, 2024. On Monday, January 15th, Larimer County offices will be closed in observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will speak at the Martin Luther King Jr. Day Loveland celebration at Mountain View High School at 3500 Mountain Lion Drive in Loveland. On Tuesday, January 16th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an administrative matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Community Corrections Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be in the Boyd Lake Conference Room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be administrative direction to county management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. From 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the LaPorte Planning Advisory Committee meeting. It's a hybrid meeting in person. It'll be in the Lake Estes Conference Room on the third floor or virtually via Zoom. On Wednesday, January 17th, from 8:45 a.m. to 9:15 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will speak at the new employee orientation in the hearing room on the first floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session regarding the new community master plan for behavioral health in Larimer County, and that'll be in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., there will be a work session regarding performance measures for public safety in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., the Commissioners may attend the Veterans Together meeting in the Boyd Lake Conference Room on the first floor. From 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis may attend the Parks Advisory Board meeting in the Horsetooth Area Information Center at 4200 West County Road 38E in Fort Collins. On Thursday, January 18th, from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the County/Thompson School District Berthoud Loveland Liaisons meeting at the Thompson School District Administration Building at 800 South Taft Avenue in Loveland. From 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis may attend the Housing Catalyst Board of Commissioners meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at 1715 West Mountain Avenue in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Rural Action Caucus meeting. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together Governing Board meeting. From 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Estes Valley Planning Advisory Committee meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at the Estes Valley Community Center at 660 Community Drive in Estes Park or virtually via Zoom. From 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Board of Health meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 1525 Blue Spruce Drive in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. On Friday, January 19th, from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Northern Colorado Partners meeting. From 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Middle Income Housing Authority Board meeting. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioners may participate in the virtual Colorado Counties Inc. Legislative Briefing meeting. And from 1 p.m. to 1:45 p.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Wildland Fire Mitigation Management Commission report briefing.
Thank you, Sarah. Colleagues, do you have any questions, comments, observations? Commissioner Stevens?
Yeah, so on Monday, on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I will be volunteering with from 8 to 10 with the group on campus that's doing the volunteer work, and then we'll be doing the march after that. Then on Thursday, January 18th, from 6:30 to 8 p.m., I'll be meeting with Together for Timnath, some residents that are working on building community connections in Timnath. And then looks like something popped up on the Friday the 19th for me. I have the trails prep meeting too. So that is it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, do you have anything?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner, Mr. Chair. I also will be volunteering and doing the march with the CSU, if we can get that on the calendar. And then sorry, I had a couple other things. I have the ride-along with the sheriff on the 19th in the evening. from 4 to late.
And overall, I'm fine with what you've just shared. I think it's a good idea to mention the Martin Luther King March, since it looks like all three of us will be walking, and I believe it starts at 11 a.m. at the CSU Oval. You ought to check that. And it will end up at the Lincoln Center, where there'll be programs and activities. So all three of us will participate in that march. Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Sarah. Well done. We'll move on. Let's see. The consent agenda. So a word about the consent agenda. It's typically something that we go through quickly. The details are online. It's primarily for matters that are indeed administrative in nature, uh, more routine than other matters that require more deliberation, discussion. And so that is what the consent agenda is. Items can be pulled off of the consent agenda for more detailed discussion by any of the commissioners. So with that, I will do my best to succinctly go through the consent agenda. And again, all the details are online if you need some Friday night reading. The first item on the consent agenda is an agreement, intergovernmental agreement for funding the traffic signal construction at West Highway 34 and Glade Road, which is County Road 23H. There will be a signal installed there. This is an intergovernmental agreement, or IGA, between the county, the city of Loveland, and I believe the state is providing some funding. The total dollar amount is $104,000 from the county and the same amount from the city of Loveland. Then, under miscellaneous, we have 10 stipulations, and I won't go through each of them, but they all apply to the current tax, actually not the current tax year, the 2023 tax year. We are now in 2024. And as a reminder, a stipulation is part of the appeal process. It's an agreement between the property owner, the petitioner, and the assessor's office to an adjusted amount regarding the property value. And that is what a stipulation is. And there are 10 of those in our miscellaneous part of our budget, or excuse me, our agenda. We next move on to resolutions, and there are 5 resolutions. 4 of them deal with short-term rental applications. The first is a findings and resolution approving the Alvarado Administrative Special Review short-term rental. And the second, findings and resolution denying the right, WRIGHT, short-term rental administrative special review. The third is a findings and resolution denying the Zulig short-term rental administrative special review. The fourth is a findings and resolution denying the Fronzak, FRONCZAK, short-term rental administrative special review. And just as a reminder, typically short-term rental applications can be decided administratively by our community development director when there is concern in the community, in the neighborhood, people have raised issues, then it is typically brought before the Board of County Commissioners. And then ultimately, based on the information at hand, we need to make an informed decision whether to approve, deny, or add some additional conditions of approval. The fifth resolution and the last item on the consent agenda, I reckon folks are happy to hear that, and that is an amended resolution to the Larimer County Board of Commissioners expressing intent to provide funding to assist with the fish hatchery workforce housing project. The, the county has committed $2 million of federal dollars, U.S. Treasury dollars, American Rescue Plan Act funds to help with a workforce housing project up in Estes Park. And that is, there's an amendment to that resolution, and that is what this is about. So, with that, colleagues, are any of these items, do you wish to take them off of the consent agenda? You're shaking your head no.
No, I do not, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okey doke. Then I would welcome a motion to approve, and I believe it's Commissioner Stevens. I believe it's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the consent agenda for January 9th, 2024.
Great, that is a proper motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, folks, for your patience. The next item, actually, we do have a commissioner's guest, and we are fortunate to have our clerk and recorder, Ms. Tina Harris. Tina, good morning. Welcome. Come on up. Tell us who you are and what you would like to share.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me as your guest today. I'm Tina Harris. I am the clerk and recorder. And I wanted to come and share with you a new service that we will be launching on January 16th. It's a recording activity notification service, which we fondly refer to as RAN. The recording activity notification is an electronic notification service that allows residents to create an alert to receive an email notification when a document is recorded in their name. So there's been a lot of commercials, and I know they have been going on for quite some time for home title lock. This is a service that we are going to provide free of charge to the residents of Larimer County. These documents currently, this notification is only good for Larimer County. There are other counties within the state that also offer this service. So if you own property or you tend to record documents in another county, you would want to check with that county to see if they also offer that same service. What will happen if a document is recorded in someone's name? They will get an email notification. That email notification will have a link directly to the document that was recorded. And so they can sign up for easy access, which is free of charge as well, and that will take them right to that document so they can view that document, so they can verify that that was a document that was recorded in their name and that they approved that document recording. Business names and trusts can also sign up for this service. It's important to know that the service or the notifications are only going to be for the name that you register. So, for instance, myself, I would end up registering 3 separate times because of my name variation. It would be my first and last name. One of my registrations, my second one would be my first, middle initial, and last name, and then the third one would be my first full middle name and last name. So you can sign up as many times, or you can register as many names as you would like. On Tuesday, January 16th, we will have a staff member out in the hallway that will be available to answer questions and walk folks through, whoever is visiting, how to sign up for this service. So we're very excited about that. And that's what I wanted to share with everybody today.
Thank you very much, Tina. Colleagues, do you have any, thank you for sharing that information. Do you have any questions, comments, observations? Commissioner Stevens?
Yeah, so it's an opt-in kind of program, and do we go to like your website and that's how we would opt in? Is that
Yes, so
okay.
it's larimer.gov/clerk,
Okay.
I had to
No,
think
that's
about
okay.
that because I have the voting stuff in my mind right now. It's completely separate. Yes, and you would just go to recording. Actually, if you go out to the recording page, there will be a banner out there that will take you right to the link to sign up for this. So we are issuing a press release. We will be updating our website to highlight this service. And so it'll be very easy to get to and to navigate. And if anyone ever has any questions, they can certainly call our office and we would be happy to walk them through that process.
Thank you. Thanks for explaining that. And I think this is a great service, so I appreciate that you're offering it. So there's just some uncertainty and insecurity that you feel with scams and things like that out there. And so this just provides an additional layer of protection for people who are concerned about people doing something in their name that they did not authorize. So
Absolutely. We've been very fortunate in Larimer County. There have not been any that I'm aware of, any reports of some sort of scam as specifically to property. So we are very fortunate in that. This alert service really doesn't prevent things from happening, but it's that one first step that just gives you that notification. It provides that an occurrence could have potentially happened.
Thank you, Tina. Thanks, Commissioner. Thank you, Madam Clerk and Recorder. Yes, I'm getting there. Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank you for contacting me and wanting to, and being my guest today. I appreciate that, and I really want to thank you for starting this, thinking of this, and thinking about the voters and residents of Larimer County. This is something that I have been wondering about, and think this is fantastic. I'm not sure every county does it, so I think this is wonderful that you're doing this. Appreciate you helping us educate folks that this is now going to be available starting next week. I'm curious, are you going to put this out in a spotlight or a news release? And how can we help educate folks throughout the county that this is available?
Yes, we will have it on the county as a county spotlight and also as a clerk spotlight. We are in the process of doing a press release at this moment. And so then we will also have individuals set up on the 16th. We are in the process of actually creating a banner for the hallway so that anytime anybody visits the first floor, they will be able to see that this is a notification. This is a service that we currently provide.
And that will be in the Loveland building as well?
The Loveland building as well.
Awesome.
And Estes Park.
Great. Fantastic. Well, again, I think this is excellent, and I appreciate your diligence and thoughtfulness and your dedication. You've worked over 2 decades in the office, and I'm sure that you've seen kind of things come and go, and you're right. We can't prevent things, but giving everybody the opportunity to have all the tools to help prevent taxing or scams or frauds or anything is so important. And I just want to thank you for coming here today to kind of help us share this information, and really excited to hear about this. So thank you, Madam Clerk and Recorder.
So I appreciate that you've proactively answered a couple of my questions. Regarding the outreach, you've expressed that you'll send out a press release, do some stuff in the lobby, etc. Will you also be coordinating with our public affairs folks to do some social media activity?
We have not thought of that, but
You might
absolutely.
you might give that
Yes.
some thought, and
Yes,
Tom could certainly help with that if you all agree that that's a good idea.
absolutely.
Regarding the intent here, could you further explain, Tina, why is this beneficial to folks to sign up for this service, an alert service, as I'm understanding it? Why is it beneficial? And also your comment about free of charge. I think we are learning that nothing is free. And ultimately, I would offer respectfully that this is an example of a service that people's taxes pay for, that's part of what counties do. But could you explain a little bit more about why this is beneficial to folks?
Sure, this is beneficial. Questions, there's quite a few scams that are going on out there in the world these days. And folks that could potentially fall to a fraudulent activity is someone, especially when it comes to homes, is anybody who has paid off their home. They do not have a mortgage on it. So this is something that, bad actors could potentially be looking for. Individuals who own second homes. So this is just one step. This is sort of the first step to help mitigate, or to be just to take care of for someone to do to take care of their property, so that they can get notifications anytime someone, there is not really anything that prevents someone from coming into our office to record a document. And so we really want to provide this service. And the reason I say this is something free of charge, our current landmark service, since we've done our upgrade, offers this service, and it is at no additional cost to the county or to the public. So this is a service that they automatically get within this.
Great, thank you very much. And as one final comment, a bit of an aside, I do want to mention that at our next, our Laporte community conversation coming up this Saturday, January 13th, at Mio Mai Pai, 8:30 to 10. Our featured guest is Ms. Tina Harris, our clerk and recorder, who will talk about election matters, and certainly you can bring this up about this new service, which I think is really important. So just wanted folks to be aware that Tina and perhaps other folks will be present at Mio Mai, 8:30 a.m. on Saturday.
I'm
Thanks a
excited
lot
to be
for
there.
happy that you're going to be there, and thanks for being here this morning. And much credit to your team that helps us do these meetings, and we collaborate well on a lot of things.
Yes. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Well, moving right along, we do not have any discussion items, and therefore we will move directly into the next agenda item, which is the county manager's update.
Thank you, Commissioners. I will keep this relatively brief. The Strategic Planning Committee for our 2024 through 2028 strategic plan met last week, and we had the opportunity to take the draft objectives that we've been working on, that you are familiar with, to the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Board and receive their feedback and comments. And so last week when our internal committee met, we really appreciated the feedback we got, the language, the clarification, the clarity, in some cases maybe potentially expanding some of the objectives. And so you will see those here shortly. And we are wrapping up, I think, steadily running into a kickoff and adoption of the 2024 through 2028 strategic plan. So I'm proud to say this has been a year's worth of work. There have been a lot of folks involved, and this last step was really critical, I think, to producing some of the best objectives. So that's a little update on that. I also met with Loveland City Manager Steve Adams. We meet from time to time to coordinate, and so we did meet last week, as well as Fort Collins Downtown Development Authority Director Matt Robinall. And so those are always great updates, good collaboration, so that when things do happen and we need to reach out to our friends and colleagues, we have those relationships formed. And I think that is the highlight of my week last week. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorinda. Colleagues, do you have any questions, comments, or observations for our county manager? All right, then we will move into commissioner activity reports, and we'll start with Commissioner Shattuck McNally from District 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and appreciate the opportunity. Yes, I do reside in District 3, but I proudly and gratefully appreciate the opportunity to serve the entire county. And when I
As do we all.
Yeah, and so I just want to state that I spent some time with some family last week, but I wanted to share a couple of things that happened since I was last here. I did attend a town hall with Congressman Goots, and Estes Mayor Wendy Koenig up in Estes Park. It was a packed house. There was a lot of conversations about budget and some of the things happening with the potential federal potential shutdown on some of the things, and a lot of note for you, Commissioner Kafalis, is there were a lot of folks who are from the Peace Corps retired up in Estes Park who were advocating for increasing Peace Corps funding and some of those things. And I figured you would be interested in their advocacy. I believe Estes Park has a very high percentage per capita of retired Peace Corps volunteers. And so I figured you'd like to hear about that, sir. The other things, just been having a lot of constituent meetings, a lot of folks expressing, you know, interest about our budget process and also about our strategic plan. A lot of folks are very interested in our belonging and our social connections and some of the things we're looking at our strategic plan. So I'm really excited to see people are already asking questions or paying attention, being engaged, and I want to thank them for their time and their questions and just contacting me. So that's all I have to share today. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Commissioner Stevens, your turn.
Thank you. Yeah, last week was a lot of the start of Transportation Week for me. Had the North I-25 Coalition meeting. Just wanted folks to know that the express lanes are open in segments 6, 7, and 8. So roughly kind of berthed all the way into Fort Collins. They will be free until the spring. They're being tested out right now. I will remind people, don't cross the double lines, so that what they're trying to do, CDOT is trying to do, is not have people weave in and out of those express lanes, which is very dangerous. And so if you do cross into them or out of them on the double lines, you can get up to a $250 fine. So use the express lanes, just use them in the correct way. Second, we had our NACO Transportation Committee meeting. We are talking about what's going to happen at our NACO legislative meeting in February. One of the things that we're looking to do is define TDM, or Transportation Demand Management programs at the federal level. Those are programs like van pools, transit, anything that gets people out of single occupancy vehicles. And there's no federal definition, so it's really hard to sometimes get funding for these programs. And it looks very different in rural areas. We were trying to stress that to our federal partners, is that, you know, that it might look like a van pool or different options in rural areas than it does at, you know, in urban areas where they can have, you know, full transit programs. In rural areas, you know, we're still trying to figure out the best way to do this, but one way is van pooling and carpooling, and want to make sure that that's recognized at the federal level. We had our Regional Air Quality Commission board meeting. That was largely kind of a recap of what was happened in the past year. There is some work around, you know, one of the things that we've done is propose to the Regional Air or to the Air Quality Commission some additional regulations on oil and gas to improve our air quality. Those, it remains to be seen what's going to be adopted yet, but there's also some proposals around local governments and their ability to or restricting their ability to use gas-powered equipment during the high ozone days, which are usually in July and August for us. So we'll kind of see as those move through the Air Quality Commission what happens with that, and I'll keep you posted on that. But there are efforts both you know, at the individual level, at the government level, and certainly for industry to be able to curb in these emissions that we're all responsible for. And then finally we had the CCAT transportation meeting that talked about some of the bills that are coming forward with regard to transportation in this legislative session. There should be something on RTD reform, which really doesn't affect us that much. Potentially some movement on passenger rail, whether it's funding or pushing something towards the ballot to be able to fund passenger rail. There should be items around transit-oriented communities and transit-oriented development, although we have been told that won't affect counties, that will just affect largely affect municipalities, would only affect counties where they have sort of enclaves of areas of the county that are sort of islands within the municipalities. We have some of those, but I don't think any of those are adjacent to transit in our areas. We can determine that, but I think largely some of the things that will happen around transit-oriented development are similar to what happened in last year's land use code, but those items in the land use code are being pulled apart to identify them separately or to vote on them separately. I think this is an area where there should be some concurrence, because I think that the idea is to that if you're going to have transit, you need to have development near it, and especially development around affordable housing. The one problem is that if people are not adhering to that, they've proposed to take away dollars from the HUTF fund, the Highway User Tax Fund. That is probably not a good idea, and so we have suggested that they may look at other funding instead of taking away those dollars, which are important to communities. They're also looking at permanent funding for free transit during high ozone days, and free fares for everyone under 18 year round, which I believe a lot of our communities already do. I know Fort Collins and Loveland already do that. And then they are exploring a statewide transit pass, so you don't have to fumble around with quarters or dollars. And if you want to, cross over from Mustang to transit in Denver and then maybe take that out to the western part of the state, you wouldn't have to. You could use the same pass, which I think is really nice for mobility and commuting. And then finally, there's a vulnerable road users bill that's being considered that would have a certain fee on these high-profile vehicles that are responsible for more accidents because the line of sight isn't very good. So there's an additional tax that would be put on those to be able to address safety issues around roads, and that would be only for the big kind of 10 or 12 counties. But it would address some of the safety issues we've seen around pedestrian and bicycle deaths. So that is being contemplated, and that would create a new enterprise through the state too, as well. Oh, and then one last thing with regard to transportation is that Colt, the city of Fort Collins or city of Loveland's transportation transit system, bus system, has a new hub, and they opened that last week, and I got to attend that opening. And so that's their new transit center. There's no building there yet, but they have the concrete all poured. They're ready for the building. They're going to try to lobby the Department of Transportation for dollars to be able to build their building. But right now, at least they have a new hub, and it's owned by the city of Loveland. They previously have leased land for this need, and so it was a really fun celebration. We got to see the new bus. We got to meet with one of the bus drivers, and it was a nice celebration, ribbon cutting. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And could you tell us what the acronym CCAT stands for?
Counties and commissioners acting together, or commissioners and counties acting together. I never knew which one's first. But yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One of the statewide groups that we're aligned with. I think it's commissioners and counties acting together. So thank you very much for your report. I just have a couple of quick things. One is, regarding the matter of the express lanes and the double line and why that's important. I had an experience on Friday. I was returning from 2 meetings in Denver, heading north on the express lane, and things had jammed up a bit, so I went in properly into the express lane, and I was doing a reasonable speed. There was a pickup truck that basically cut me off, crossed the double lines, and may have been startled that I was actually probably in the blind spot of this pickup truck, and basically bounced against the median wall there, and bounced off of that, and then got into the middle, got quickly out of the express lane, and wound up getting off at the next exit. So that was a bit scary. Fortunately, I was doing a reasonable speed, and there was, reasonable distance between us. But I think everyone's okay, other than probably a smashed side view mirror and a few scratches and dents. So I can certainly relate to why that's important, not to cross the double line. As far as last week, I had a few constituent meetings. On Thursday, we had our Wellington Community Conversation. We do these once a month typically, and the Wellington one at the T-Bar Inn on Thursday, the primary topic was about the county budget and the mill levy stuff, and we had two folks from our budget office. There were about 25 people assembled, spirited discussion as always up there, and also we had folks from the Larimer County Sheriff's Office. They typically show up, and the town administrator, Patty Garcia, and others. So good meeting, and we'll be back there on February 1st to talk about ranch matters. Then on Friday, just two meetings. One is the State Board of Human Services, where we do rulemaking for legislation that is passed that has to do with human services related matters. And then in the afternoon, I attended the CHSDA, the Colorado Human Services Directors Association, and another statewide county organization that we align with is CCI, Colorado Counties, Inc. They organized a legislative forum, a luncheon, at the History Colorado Museum, and there were a lot of people assembled, commissioners, state legislators, and essentially the purpose was to offer information about how County Human Services works, the mission of the Human Services Directors Association, and in particular talked about child welfare, which is one of our fundamental responsibilities, successes and challenges, as well as economic security, successes and challenges. And a couple of bills were called out that we've discussed before. One of them, for example, has bipartisan support, comes out of the Child Welfare Interim Committee, and it has to do with establishing a comprehensive behavioral health statewide system of care for children and youth. The second bill is dealing with high acuity behavioral health needs of children and youth. And the third one that came out of the Child Welfare Interim Committee has to do with kinship care, making some changes there to strengthen those opportunities. That is all I have to report. Thank you all. We do not have legal matters. Therefore, I believe at 10:41 a.m. we are adjourned, and we give thanks to the fellow who runs the television. Don't pay attention to the person behind the screen, but actually he's very helpful. Thank you.